A pilot pulls alongside a machine that's flying itself. No cockpit, no man inside to reason with. Just a warhead on a schedule aimed at London. His guns have jammed, so he does something the manuals never mentioned. What did he try? Hold that moment. To understand it, you have to go back 4 years to 1940, when Britain was losing airplanes faster than it could count them, and quietly starting work on something with no propeller at all. The engine came first. Work on it was underway as early as 1936, driven by one man, Frank Whittle, and his company Power Jets. Whittle had patented the turbojet years before anyone in the establishment took him seriously. The idea's simple to state and brutal to build. Burn fuel, spin a turbine, throw the hot gas out the back and let reaction push you forward. No pistons, no propeller, no reciprocating parts hammering themselves to pieces. Just a continuous fire and a spinning shaft. In 1941, the proof flew. The Gloster E-28-39, the little Whittle jet, lifted off and stayed up on nothing but that hot stream of gas. It settled the argument. If one engine could fly a research airframe, two might fly a fighter. So Gloster Aircraft Company built the fighter. Development began in 1940, and the twin-engine layout wasn't a boast, it was necessity. Whittle's early engines were thirsty and short on thrust. One wasn't enough to lift a war machine. You needed two, one in each wing. Worth pausing on the shape it produced. Straight wings, a nose full of cannon, an engine buried in each wing where a propeller nacelle would otherwise sit. It looked less like the future and more like a piston fighter that had swallowed something strange. First flight came on the 5th of March, 1943. And there's a coincidence in the record worth noting. That date was exactly 7 years to the day after the Spitfire first flew. One era of British air power crossing paths with the next, same week of March, 7 years apart. It went to war on the 27th of July, 1944, with No. 616 Squadron, RAF. That makes the Meteor the first British jet fighter and the only Allied jet aircraft to see combat in the entire Second World War. Everything else the Allies flew that year still turned a propeller. Germany had beaten them to it, just. The Messerschmitt Me 262, swept back wings, greater speed, entered service a few months earlier. But the two jets were built for different fights. The 262 hunted bombers over the Reich. The Meteor got a stranger target closer to home. By the summer of 1944, that target was the V-1, a pulse jet-powered flying bomb, launched from the French coast, droning across the Channel toward London. When its engine cut out, it fell. Britain needed something fast enough to catch it first. Piston fighters could just about manage it. A Tempest flat out, a Spitfire in a dive. But the margin was thin, and the window short. The Meteor had speed to spare. This is the role the record shows it was first-handed, air defense against the flying bombs. Now, the jet had a weakness worth naming. Those early engines struggled with the throttle changes a gun run demanded, and the cannon were prone to jamming. So a pilot lined up on a V-1, pressed the trigger, got nothing, and had a decision to make. Break off or improvise. Here's where the loop closes. A Meteor pilot, guns dead, flew in close, slid a wingtip beneath the bomb's own wing, and tipped it. The airflow off his wing rolled the V-1 out of balance. Its crude autopilot couldn't recover. It spun off course and came down away from the city. No shot fired. The bomb toppled, because a man understood how his own wings shed air and used that as a tool. That's the answer to the moment we opened on. He didn't destroy the machine so much as unsettle it and let physics finish the job. Think about what that took. The Meteor was the newest, fastest thing in British service, and its first real victories came not from its guns, but from the shape of its wing and the nerve of the man flying it. The engineering gave him the speed. The rest he worked out over the countryside in seconds. The war ended before the Meteor and the Me-262 ever fought one another. The two jets that opened the age never met in combat. But the Meteor's service didn't end in 1945. It carried on for years, long after the flying bombs stopped falling. In the early 1950s, it went to war again, this time in Korean skies, in the hands of the Royal Australian Air Force, a design born to chase flying bombs over Kent, now flying combat half a world away, in a conflict its makers never imagined when they drew it in 1940. And in 1946, a civil demonstrator, the Meteor F-4 registered GAIDC, became the first civilian-registered jet aircraft anywhere in the world. The fighter had opened a door. Everyone who'd ever boarded a jet walked through behind it. The Meteor got its jet to war first among the Allies. But Germany's Me-262 got there first of all, and by most measures, it was the better machine. So why didn't it change the war? That's the gap we open next. If this one landed for you, subscribe to Wings and Stories, new aviation history several times a week.